Hi everyone, it's Miss Hughes here. Just wanted to say hello and to talk to you about an assembly that I'd like to do with you today. We miss you so much at school, and as you know, we get together a few times a week to have assemblies, either as a whole school or in key stages or in year groups. And I really thought it'd be nice if we shared a reading assembly together. The theme for our reading assembly today is based on the experience that we're all going through at the moment. It's a new experience for us, and it's really not easy sometimes to cope with something that's different and something changing. And when we come to school every day and we see our friends, when you see your family at home, when you have normal lessons at school with your teachers, we know that as our normal lives. And at the moment, those things aren't happening. So everything's a little bit different. I know that some of you who normally have clubs outside of school aren't able to go to those at the moment, and those things that you would normally enjoy, you're not actually able to do. So all of the things that we normally would do and that we can't rely on us having to have some resilience at this time to be able to cope with the changing situation. And as you know, resilience is one of our school values. We talk about it a lot. And when we think about resilience, it's all about our ability to be able to cope and recover when things are tough or when we find things a little bit difficult. And we also learn at school that we have lots of different emotions: anger, frustration, sadness, happiness. And we know that there are things that we can do to help ourselves when we're feeling one of those emotions. At the moment, something that I like to do if I'm feeling either a little bit sad or a little bit frustrated, I might phone a friend or a member of my family to speak to them. So I feel like I'm in contact with somebody who I would usually see, or I've started making a list of things that I would like to do once this is all over and we're able to get back to normal a little bit. So today I'm going to read you the first two chapters of a story. It's been written during the lockdown period by a teacher called Mr. Ford. He's a year 3 and 4 teacher, and it's all about not being able to go to school. The story is about a girl called Parsley Mimblewood. She's actually homeschooled, which means that she does her learning at home anyway, because she lives in a really, really remote area and actually can't get to a nearby school. And she is an expert on how not to go to school. And this story follows her daily adventures with her 11 animals and her 7 imaginary friends. So I'm going to share my screen with you now, so you can either read along or you can just listen if you would prefer. So this is the front cover. So here we go. Mike Ford, How Not to Go to School. Parsley Mimblewood Saves the World. Chapter 1, How Not to Go to School. Sunday the 29th of March 2020. I'm very good at not going to school. I've done it every single day of my life. First, I wake up, get dressed and feed my animals. Alfred the Great, our very fat cat. Parsley, my imaginary guinea pig. Molly Wobble and Maximilian Ironbelly too, my 2 real guinea pigs. Einstein and Meatball, the dogs. Stickosaurus, the stick insect. Diane, Pam and Anne, the nanny goats. Next, I feed me. I brush my teeth and then I don't go to school. For some of you, it might be a little more tricky. You've been going to school so long that it's seeped into your bones. You have timetables tattooed on your brain, and your belly rumbles whenever the lunch bell rings. You have to remember to not put on your school uniform and not pick up your packed lunch. You need to not go through the front door, not walk down the street, not cross the road with the lollipop lady, and absolutely, definitely not say good morning to your teacher. And that's all before school's even started. Then you have to spend all day concentrating on not listening to what your teacher is saying. I'm Parsley Mimblewood, by the way, and I've never been to school, not once. I've never put my hand up to answer a question, I've never run a race on sports day, and I've never eaten a school dinner. Instead, I learn things at home with my mum and my little brother Bo. Things like how to milk a grumpy nanny goat and how to extract the healing properties of crystals. We live in a little ramshackle cottage at the end of a windy, narrow lane in the middle of the moors, just beyond Wensleydale. It's so far from anywhere that whenever a car drives past, we all come running out to say hello. It's so far that it would take hours to get to school and back anyway. And my mum says they don't teach you the important stuff at school, like understanding the truth about crystals. She really likes crystals. Anyway, now nobody is going to school. So today, on Sunday the 29th of March 2020, I've decided to write a book for you all. A book to explain exactly how not to go to school. So you can pause me here if you like and have a little break. If not, I'm going to carry on and read chapter 2. Chapter 2, How to Care for Your Grown-ups, Monday the 30th of March 2020. This morning I was woken up by a dripping sound. Our roof has a lot of holes in it because our cottage is really old and tumble down. And when it rains, we have to gather up all the buckets and bowls and bottles to put underneath the drips. I don't mind the drip, drip, dripping because it makes our house sound like a deep, dank cave. But when we're all stuck inside together, everyone starts to go a bit crazy. By the time I got up, Bo had already knocked over 3 bottles and spilt a bowl of Cheerios across the floor. I had to hop between the shrinking islands of dry, crunchy cereal to avoid my slippers getting covered in soggy Cheerio mush. Bo was being a very good boy because he was already cleaning up his mess by picking up and eating the dry Cheerios from the floor. I poured myself a bowl, but before I could get the spoon to my mouth, Mum had rushed in shouting things like, "Don't let your brother eat food off the floor! Where's my phone charger? And now I've got mush on my slippers." I tried to explain that she should hop between the dry islands of cereal, but she wasn't having any of it. By then, her phone was plugged in and one eye was glazed over her screen whilst the other eye was glaring at me, even though it was Bo's mess. After a few moments, she tore herself away from her screen and sighed. I think we've got a serious case of cabin fever. Cabin fever is what happens when we all feel cooped up from being trapped in together in our little houses for too long. As soon as someone says cabin fever, we all start singing, "I got cabin fever" from the Muppets Treasure Island. We've had cabin fever so often that I've learnt all the words and can do all the voices. Unfortunately, Bo hasn't learnt all the words yet. He only knows the "I got cabin fever" line, and in fact, he thinks it's "I've got gabba geeba." Mum and I cleared up the cereal, but Bo was still singing gabba geeba again and again, and Mum had gone back to her phone. So I thought I'd go and feed the animals before the cabin fever got any worse. Whilst I was feeding the animals, I made an incredible discovery. Looking after animals is just like looking after grown-ups with cabin fever. Grown-ups are like dogs. Just like dogs, grown-ups must be taken for regular walks. Otherwise, they start pacing up and down the house and muttering to themselves. Grown-ups are like cats. Our cat, Alfred the Great, is on a special draconian diet from the vet because he eats too much. And when Mum's stuck inside, I need to stop her from snacking too, or else she'll have eaten all the snacks and there won't be any left for me. Grown-ups are like guinea pigs. Guinea pigs don't do very much. Even imaginary guinea pigs are a bit boring, but they give very good cuddles. I found that a short cuddle is a surefire cure for grown-ups who have caught a bad case of cabin fever. Grown-ups are like stick insects. It's very easy looking after a stick insect, but sometimes I worry that Stichosaurus might be a little lonely without any other stick insects. At least there's 2 of everything else. Even I've got Bo, although he can be very annoying sometimes. But Mum doesn't have any other grown-up in our house. Maybe that's why she spends all day blabbering on the phone about crystals. Grown-ups are like goats. We've got a copy of the RSPCA guidebook for keeping goats. Well, we've got all the pages apart from 45 to 52 because Diane the goat ate them. Anyway, the guidebook says that goats must not be tethered. Even though they're fantastic at escaping, you shouldn't tie goats up because it can hurt their necks. Mum's phone is always needing charging up, so sometimes she sits for hours, stuck to the wall staring at the pictures of crystals and looking at the news, just like a tethered goat. I decided that my mum needed some looking after, so I hid her phone charger at the bottom of Bo's toy box. This ticked off most of her needs because she was exercising by rushing around the house, she wasn't tethered to her phone, and she got a hug from Bo when he said sorry for putting her phone charger in his toy box. I felt a bit guilty about getting Bo into trouble, and so my plan only seemed to make the cabin fever worse, because by lunchtime, everyone was grumpy with everyone else. That's why I've decided to hold an official family meeting. Here is the agenda I made for the meeting. Official family meeting, attendees, me, Bo, Mum, Alfred the Great, cat, Stickosaurus, stick insect. Discussion points. What are the symptoms of cabin fever? How to avoid catching cabin fever? What to do if you suspect you or a member of your household has cabin fever? What should we do if everyone has cabin fever? Any other business? So, I'm going to stop reading there. I hope you enjoyed the first 2 chapters of Parsley Mimblewood. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you between this week and next week, and I'm going to read chapter 3 next week, I would like you to have a think about how you could help one of your grown-ups at home and what you could do to maybe try and help them do something. It could be anything you like. It could be helping to tidy up, it could be helping to cook a meal, or it could be just spending some time having a chat together. And by doing that, you might even yourselves become a little bit more resilient. So I'll see you next week for chapter 3. Stay safe, everybody. We really miss you and really hope to see you soon.